Once there were two islands, Greenel and Graynel. They sat in the middle of the ocean with a wide stretch of deep water between them. The very first people who came to the island of Greenel found a peaceful place with tall green trees and dark fertile soil. Their leaders said, "Since we are here in the middle of the ocean and our island is only so big and no bigger, we will all have to work very hard to tend it and keep it as lovely as it is today. If we are careful and wise, we will be able to grow our own food and learn to make the other things we need to be happy and comfortable." And down through the years, that is the way it was on Greenel. Life was simple and it moved at the pace of the sun and the moon and the changing seasons. The first people who ever came to Graynel found an island very similar to Greenel, quiet and green and lovely. But their leader said, "Since our new land is here in the middle of the ocean and is only so big and no bigger, we will have to work very hard if we are able to keep up with the rest of the world. We will have to build ships and factories and use all of our land very wisely, or we will never be able to make and buy all the things we want." There were changes on Graynel, big changes. Even though the island was small, it kept up with the world, and life on Graynel moved at the pace of the shipping timetables, the factory clocks, and the traffic lights. The inhabitants of Greenel and Graynel are quite confused about the lifestyle choices they see across the ocean. They start to refer to each other as those people behind their backs. There's graffiti on some rocks that face the opposite island. On Greenel's side, it says, "Those people are robots. All they do is pollute the air." The graffiti on Graynel's side says, "Those people are so boring. They'll never keep up with the rest of the world." One day, there is a terrible accident. Cautionary tales are told on both islands. Greenel states that a fisherman went out to sea and got run over by a Greenel speedboat. He was captured and poisoned, but eventually escaped and rowed all the way back home. They threatened war. Those on Graynel insist that the Greenel man was fishing in a poisonous area, so they went to stop him. They discovered he was already passed out and treated him with medicine. However, they couldn't find him when they came back to check on him. They threatened war back, but luckily tensions died down. This episode was never forgotten, and tales of the enemy were talked about for years to come. As times passed and life seemed to get harder, some people from both islands wondered if a bridge could be built to connect the two islands so that they can share resources. Others were horrified and shouted about the damage that would do to their values and way of life. And this, my friends, is where this part of the story ends. The future of Greenel and Graynel, as well as the rest of the story, depends entirely on what happens next.